So in case of this Dinophilis, the size of the egg decides the gender. The large sized egg turns into female and the small sized egg turns into male. And temperature also decides the gender of an individual in certain other creatures like turtles, crocodiles and alligators. So turtles, if you take those turtles which are of below 28 degrees centigrade or 28 roughly, they will develop into females. Above 33 degrees centigrade they will develop into males. In between 28 and 33, so they will develop into both males and females, half of. So crocodiles are usually low temperature favors females, high temperature favors males. So alligator also with the more or less some differences, it will be the same. This is how the environment going to determine the gender of an individual. So next the second type, if you take non-allosomic or non-chromosomal gender determination. Non-chromosomal or non-allosomic gender determination, if you take, here chromosomes have no role in determining the gender of an individual. Usually in microbes it happens. So in bacteria, if you take there are some strains plus and minus. So plus strain is considered as male, minus strain is considered as female. In fact true gender is not present, true sexuality is not present. So because of the presence of certain genes, these one type of bacteria is considered, particularly because of the presence of some plasmids. One bacteria is considered as plus or male, the other bacteria is considered as female actually. So this is not a true sexuality actually, no true sexuality present. We call this condition as parasexuality. So if you have to study about gender determination, non-allosomic or non-chromosomal gender determination, we can take it as an example, this one as an example, but frankly speaking this cannot be considered as a gender actually. We call it as parasexuality, that's why it is not true sexuality, we consider it. So but still we consider it. So the next third one, if you take chromosomal sex determination or allosomic sex determination. Chromosomal sex determination. So there are some types of chromosomal sex determination are there. The first type, if you see, XX XY type, it is most common in insects. In most of the insects it is common. Best example you can take Drosophila. Drosophila is fruit fly, and humans are also one more example. So what is this XXXY type of chromosomes? Usually before going to this topic, let us see certain other topics like chromosomes. So chromosomes in most of the organisms are of two types, autosomes and allosomes. So autosomes are like no gender is decided by them. So allosomes are sex chromosomes which decide the gender of a particular individual. So autosomes are not like that. Autosomes are something like if you see, they decide somatic characters. Somatic characters nothing but whatever the characters which are present other than gender of an individual can be considered as somatic characters. So allosomes, if you take, these are nothing but sex chromosomes. In case of these organisms, X and Y are the allosomes. So in females you can find XX, same type of chromosomes, but in male you find XY. So the gametes which are formed from the male are different. So two types of sperms can be formed, one can be X and another can be Y. So but in females only X type of egg cell is formed. Let us see in detail about. So if you take XX is female and XY is male. So when coming to the gametes from the organisms are usually 2n type. So diploid. So these diploid organisms are, if you consider only these sex chromosomes, if you are considering, so when these chromosomes are passed to the gametes, they will turn into haploid. Here only X type of egg cells are formed in case of females. So the gametes are homogametes here. Homo means similar. All the gametes have X chromosome only, that's why they are homogametes. All the egg cells have X chromosomes only, that's why these are homogametes. And coming to these males, there are two types of sperms are formed, X and Y. So these we call them as heterogametes. So hetero means different, gametes means you know what are gametes. Gametes are the sex cells which are combined together to form the zygote actually. So if this X chromosome combines with the any of the X egg cells, then female, the zygote which is formed is female type. And this Y sperm cell, if it is going to combine with any of the X egg cells, so then it turns into a male, the zygote will turn into a male. A small let me draw a small Punnett square. So 50% of the individuals in the next generation, 50% of the chances where these are female, 50% of it of the offspring can be male. So here the gender is decided by the male only, female is not going to decide the gender, only the male will decide the gender actually. So female will not decide the gender, that's what XX and the XY type. Or male heterogamety, this type can be called as male heterogamety, we call it as male heterogamety otherwise. Let's go to the second one. Now the second type, if you take, this is ZZ ZW type, where you can find it in mostly birds, you can find it. Okay, so ZZ ZW means what? Here ZZ is male and ZW is female. Here the sex chromosomes are Z and W are the sex deciding chromosomes. So ZZ is male, ZW is female actually. In cocks and hens usually you can find it out actually. So ZZ and ZW, ZZ is male, ZW is female. Now if you take this ZZ, male can form only one type of sperm cells, but here female can form two types of egg cells. So here female is the one which is going to decide the gender. So there are two types of egg cells which are formed by the female, then we call it as female heterogamety. So let me explain in detail. ZZ and ZW type, if you take, sir, why don't we call it as XX and XY? See, if you call it as XX, XY, then again confusion may happen. That's why the sex chromosomes are the sign is changed to ZZ and ZW. Here Z and W are the sex chromosomes, where Z is going to impart femaleness, W is going to impart maleness. Okay, so this two Z chromosomes, if they are present, then that is male. If Z and W are present, then that is female actually. So here the female is only going to decide the gender of an individual, where Z and W, different types of egg cells are formed. So the egg cell, which is combining with the sperm, only one type of sperms are there now, only Z is there, Z type is there. So sperm does not matter here. So the sperm which is produced by the male, it does not matter at all. So the sperm can combine with if the sperm is combining with the Z egg cell, then it is a male. If the sperm is combining with a W egg cell, then that is a female. Okay, so we call this process as female heterogamety, we call it as. Let us see the next one. So next one more type is there, XX XO type of a sex determination. Here XX, two X chromosomes are there for example, then that is female. If only one X chromosome is there, the other no sex chromosome is there, then that is male. This is also considered as male heterogamety, because while sperms are formed, two types of sperms formed. One is with one X chromosome, the other is with no X chromosome, means zero, no X chromosome at all. Sex chromosome is not present, rest of the autosomes are present. So in butterflies and moths you can find this. Sorry for the interruption, small change. It's not in butterflies and moths, it is present in grasshoppers and cockroaches. So there is only one type of egg cell is present. So any egg cell if you take, only X chromosome is present. But here sperms, if you take the sperm which is formed can be of any type, like one with X chromosome, one without X chromosome, zero, no sex chromosomes are present at all. So X, if it combines with X, this is XX. So if X is combining with O, then that is XO. So then if X is combining with O, then XO. If X is combining with X, then XX. So if it is XX, that is female, if it is XO, that is male. So having only one sex chromosome, that is the characteristic of the male here. Having two sex chromosomes is the characteristic of female, that is XX and XO. Grasshoppers and cockroaches, this type you can find. So the next type, if you take ZZ ZO, here ZZ is male, ZO is female. If only one sex chromosome is there, then that is female. The females have the capability to form two types of egg cells. What are they? With sex chromosome, without sex chromosome. With sex chromosome, that is Z, without sex chromosome, 0, that is. So ZZ, if you take sperms, only one type of sperms can be there. Butterflies and moths are the examples here, in fact. So butterflies and moths are the examples here. So this is also known as female heterogamety, because two types of egg cells are getting formed. Hetero means different, gamety means production of gametes. If the female is producing different types of gametes, which are related to gender, then we call it as female heterogamety. If the males are producing different types of gametes related to the gender, then that is male heterogamety. Hetero means different. Hetero means different. This is the traditional way of a gender determination. So now let us see like a flow chart. Let us see both of them. The first one, if you take a male heterogamety type of a gender determination. Second one, if you take female heterogamety type of a gender determination. So male heterogamety, if you take the two examples, two types, if you take XX, XY, XX, XO. Female heterogamety, if you take ZZ, ZW, ZZ, ZO. So these are the four types of gender determinations we studied till now. XX, XY, if you take, the best example is humans and a Drosophila. ZZ, ZW, if you take, best example is birds. Chickens are the best example which you can consider. So XX, XO, best example if you take cockroach, grasshopper. So for this ZZ, ZO type of sex determination, if you take, the best example is butterfly and moth. So this is what male heterogamety and female heterogamety. Apart from this, haplodiploid type of sex determination is also there. Let us have a look at that. So what do you mean by haplodiploidy? Haplodiploidy type of sex determination. It can be usually noticed in some insects like ants, wasps, honeybees. So let me explain this. Here males are haploid in nature, the females are diploid in nature. So the queen bee, if you take, so the queen bee is 2n in condition. It lays eggs actually. So those eggs which are fertilized by sperms, N, they develop into females which are 2n in condition, and those eggs which are not fertilized by the sperms of the male. So in a beehive, if you take, different chambers are there. This queen bee lays eggs in some chambers, and these male drones come and fly over those chambers, and they just release their sperms into those chambers. And what happens then? The sperm fertilizes some of the egg cells. Those eggs which are missing those sperms, where the sperms are not reaching, so they will turn into males. So these males are termed as drones. Females are termed as like a sterile worker bees. So here a doubt arises. So if the female bees all are worker bees and which are sterile, so how does the next queen bee comes? Say for example, if this queen bee is going to die, then what happens? The larva, so when the egg is combining with sperm, one larva is going to get formed now. Before it turns into a sterile worker bee, one larva is particularly healthy and bigger larva is identified by the female worker bees, and it is fed with a royal jelly, and that is the only larva which is going to turn into next queen bee. So rest of all the females are sterile. Worker bees, their main function is to work actually, scouting and finding honey, bringing it and nursing the larva. This is what the work they do actually. So this is in detail about the sex determination in animals. First environmental type, second one is non-allosomic or non-chromosomal, third one is chromosomal type. Okay, so next going to that X and Y chromosomes, let us have a look. So children, let us see, there are two types of chromosomes in human beings, where one is X chromosome, the other one is Y chromosome. Okay, so all the chromosomes, if you take, rest of the 22 pairs of chromosomes are autosomes. So all these autosomes, they are homologous to each other. Homologous to each other in the sense, first pair of chromosomes if you take, they are equal in size and shape. Same type of genes are present all over the body. And the second type of chromosomes if you take, they are equal in size and shape. They are homologous to each other. Third type, they are homologous to each other, equal in size and shape, and the genes which are present are one and the same. They are not different actually. So say for example, here some gene which is determining the some eye color is present here. On the other side also some gene, I mean allele, which is present on the other side, same type of allele is present. So it's not different actually, which are same. But while coming to the X and Y chromosomes, 23rd pair of chromosomes only, if it is X and X, it is not a problem. These are homologous to each other in case of females. But in case of males, these are not homologous. They are partially homologous. That means half of the part of the X chromosome matches with the half of the part of the Y chromosome. Rest of the half part is not going to match. So this half part of the Y chromosome is going to have male genes like testis determining factor and SRY genes, gender imparting genes, Y chromosome related genes which impart maleness to the human beings are present. So while meiosis happens, so these two parts will cross over. These parts are called homologous part of the sex chromosomes. The above two are non-homologous part of the X chromosomes. Or non-homologous or Hollandric genes, the genes which are present on them are known as Hollandric genes. Particularly on the Y chromosome, whatever the genes which are present in this region are termed as Hollandric genes. Andro means male, the genes which impart maleness. On the counterpart, on the X chromosome, same type of genes are not present. So while learning about the characteristics of chromosomes, what will you learn? You usually learn that chromosomes are homologous to each other. So first pair of chromosomes are homologous to each other, second pair of chromosomes are homologous to each other. So first pair of chromosomes if you take, there are 100 genes, say for example present on this first chromosome for example. On the counterpart, on this also 100 genes are present, same type of genes are present. Means here 100 alleles, here also 100 alleles. Just go back to Mendel actually. So capital T, small t, you remember capital T is one allele, small t is one allele, but both the alleles are going to release the protein which is required for the height of the individual, but height of the pea plant. So height of the pea plant is determined by one gene which is made up of two alleles, capital T, small t, and these capital T, small t are present on homologous chromosomes, right? So in the same way in human beings also, first 22 pairs of chromosomes are homologous, but 23rd pair of chromosomes are non-homologous. That means half homologous part is there, only half part is homologous, rest of the half part is non-homologous. In case of females it is not like that. In case of females the entire 2 chromosomes are XX only, so because of that reason there is no problem, both of them are homologous to each other. But in case of males it is not like that, half of the Y chromosome is homologous to X chromosome and the rest of the half is non-homologous, which is holandric in nature, which has holandric genes. Okay, so this is what about sex, in detail about sex determination. Hope you understood it well. Thank you.